Welcome back to the AI Ripple Effect podcast. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Anastasija Stojanovic, CEO of SafeRise Trucking Compliance Solutions. Anastasia, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Fantastic. Well, why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself and your background, and then we'd love to hear more about SafeRise, what you do, and who your typical customers are.
So my journey in trucking started really a little over 9 years ago. I started learning about safety and compliance by watching my coworkers do it because I was first in accounting. And then I actually fell in love with the way that things are being handled and benefits that a good safety and compliance team can deliver to a trucking company. So I started learning, and in just about few years, my knowledge was put to a test when I started a company really to actually just help out my friends that were starting their own trucking business. They started with 2 trucks. In a little less than 4 years, they expanded from two to around 360 trucks. A few years that I learned a lot about safety. I was attending so many different courses and so many different safety seminars, webinars. I was trying to get as much information as I could because safety is very broad and there is so many things to be learned, and laws and regulations are changing every year. At the end of the day, we realized that we did a really good job because our safety score did not collapse. We were able to properly scale the business. When we reached around 40, 50 trucks, that's when we started hiring more people in safety department. So we hired probably around 5 more people up to the point when we got to 100 trucks. So we were departmentalized. We had a lot of people that had a lot of experience. I was kind of organizing the department and making sure everybody's doing their job properly. And I was so happy that the my knowledge was put on to a test right like about 3-4 years after I started working in the safety. I worked with that company, but in the same time, I was contracted by a lot of smaller companies to help with their issues that they're facing at the moment. There were DOT audits or increased safety violations or improper driver training or increasing claims. So I was contracted by those people to help them with trying to reduce the risk and improve their safety. That's when I realized that I can do this for a lot of people and that smaller companies don't have the chance to see the real safety in works because safety is expensive. I mean, experienced safety professional will charge a lot. And especially if they're full-time contracted to work for the company. And also, of course, the safety is very broad and there is so many people that are needed to handle things in order to be properly handled because it's easy to hire one person that does everything. But if you do that, you should know that your company is going to fail because not every part of the safety department will be covered to the best that it can. Because it's very hard to work on claims and make sure they're closed on time, but in the same time, handle the violations, try to get as many violations down, try to handle the driver training, orientations, and all of these things are pillar for success. So I decided to start my own consulting company. I joined with a couple people from the industry. We're still working together. They did more day-to-day safety tasks like driver trainings, post-accident training.
That you're doing absolutely really brilliantly. Why don't, so I wanted to ask you about what drove you to start your own consulting business. So let me start by asking you about the broader themes that you're seeing out there. And just in terms of getting a temperature check on things like what are you seeing in that transport and logistics space in North America right now? Sazia, I know the regulation has been changed quite dramatically and quickly over the last 12 months. What else is it that you're seeing out there that your clients are having to navigate?
A real time issue right now, the current issue is increased cargo thefts. Because the trucking industry grew so much in the last couple of years, the last few years. I would say after COVID, there was a huge expand in trucking companies. So I realized that a verification process became very hard for companies and for brokers as well. So there is a rise of fraudulent brokers. There is a rise of fraudulent companies. Cargo thefts are happening every day. So this is something that is definitely big issue. And I believe there are better ways that companies and brokers can protect themselves from such events. I would say implementing as much as technology as possible would be amazing for trucking industry. I feel like the trucking industry is still in a old school way of thinking a lot, majority of it. And I feel that it would benefit a lot of implementing technology that is currently available. For example, cargo thefts can be prevented by implementing GPS devices that could be put into the cargo or into the trailer, and the brokers will have full access at all times on the location of their cargo and make sure that it's going where it's supposed to go.
Absolutely. Anastasia, you've just launched SafeRise. Can you tell us what drove you to start your own compliance consulting business in trucking? And what are the current pain? You talked about smaller fleets. What are the current pain points that they are feeling right now when it comes to safety?
Expense is a big issue in the trucking because insurance are very expensive. Insurance is very expensive. All of the expenses in trucking are pretty high. The truck payments, trailer payments, insurance, like I said, there is taxes. So I feel that small trucking companies and small fleets are facing the issue to have a really good organization in the early years when they first start. And whoever starts in trucking, it's very important to start it properly, to start it good, uh, mm, and to grow. Because if you don't start it properly, which department is supposed to do what, then you don't know what you're doing. Your business is not growing, it's just repeating the same mistakes. For small trucking companies, it's challenging to have a safety department that will cover all of the parts that need to be covered, because there is not only one person that is needed, it's more than one. And sometimes they decide to hire somebody with the title, and due to not being able to properly track their progress, because not every trucking company owner has knowledge about safety and regulation. That's why we get hired, of course. That's why we have business. But that problem creates bigger problem because they're unable to track what their safety department doing, what is going on with their company. So a lot of people hire the cheapest the cheapest that they can get, and that business then suffers because of that.
What's the comparison between you and sort of larger organizations, would you say?
Our safety and compliance team is very, very detail oriented and very invested in the well-being of the trucking company. We make sure that we go into every aspect, every pain point, address it, make sure that everything is addressed. Trucking companies, the most benefit they see from us is, like, first of all, the change of mindset. There is a complete flip of mindset, how they see the safety department, how they see their operations when we start working with them. It's not just somebody that does day-to-day tasks. It's somebody that is thinking about innovative ways how to improve the whole organization of the company.
That's good. Let's talk about AI and automation and how that's transforming the way that the sector, and it's one of the big themes out there. How are you incorporating AI into your compliance solutions? Where are the opportunities you see for automation in what you're doing?
I know that it can be used as much more than it's being used right now, but I haven't been utilizing it to its full potential. I did try to, it did help me a lot with claims handling, because there is so many different processes, there is so many different steps. And AI helps me summarize those steps and write better reports because I can feed it all my data and it's going to help me summarize and make sure that I'm on point. That it does also help me with creating smart reminders for me, creating the follow-up reminders and things like that. Also, I mean, of course, the AI is it's not legal advisor or it cannot give you legal advices, but it does help with structuring with structuring agreements a little bit better, and then you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on attorney going there and asking them to drop the whole contract. You know what are the bullet points that you need to include in the agreement. You put it on an AI program like ChatGPT or Grok, and it's going to give you the almost ready agreement that you can now send to the attorney. He'll review it for 1/4 of the time he would use to create that document and charge you a lot less. But I do also try to automate as much as I can. AI agents are being helpful with like searching and making sure that for example, if there is something that I'm researching, it can go and look for case studies on similar things that happened in past and can give me more detailed information on what I'm working at the moment and help me kind of back it up with more data.
Is there a lot of manual processes involved in the safety compliance work that you do? Is there a lot of form filling that you have to do in your role, in your team?
I don't really fill out as many forms. I'm handling more compliance stuff that is like more serious compliance stuff, more serious compliance tasks, I would say. We do have automated applications, agreements, and as many documents as we could put into paperless version we did. But safety, it's all about record keeping and making sure that all of the documents are the updated on time. So AI helps with reminders because reminders are if you have to track 150 drivers and make sure all of the drivers have driver's licenses, medical cards, everything that is still valid, or if something is expiring soon, you need to remind them. So AI helps with that.
Great. And you have a system in place that does that. Is that?
Correct.
Good, excellent, good. But when it comes to your clients, how are you advising your clients to navigate, I guess, the the technological evolution that's happening and whilst maintaining the kind of those compliance standards?
One more thing I wanted to add is that AI helped a lot in improving dash cams for trucking industry. So the ability to track driver behavior is much better now because the AI will recognize some of the behaviors that the regular camera wouldn't, like drowsiness or following too close or things like that. Some dash cam companies, some vendors are using it more, some less, but there is definitely with the AI being more and more into the game, there is so many companies, and I feel like very soon we'll have much better options for dash cameras than we do now. I do try to advise my carriers to, as much as possible, use technology because it's just impossible to know what is going on in the truck unless the driver gives you a full report. With dash cams, GPS, geofencing, you don't have to do all of that manually. You can see from firsthand what is going on in the truck. And as a safety professionals, we use it a lot because then we can directly train drivers on those pain points, on those behaviors that where they're failing. So it's really helping the safety, build reports, and train drivers in company personnel, the personnel as well.
Absolutely. And kind of brings us on to one of the recurring themes in our podcast, which is like the interplay between AI, new technology, and the need for the human touch. I mean, it's the trucking transportation has been about client relationships and people. How do you balance that sort of technology aspect with maintaining that kind of that human touch?
I don't think the AI in trucking, in logistics can work without the human touch right now. It's the human touch is important in executing the tasks that maybe like AI is great for structuring and organizing, but human touch is still very needed, and the decision on falls on a human to look into all of the reports, not just the report on driver behavior, but to take into consideration other aspects. For example, not stopping on stop signs, but he's a really good driver. On the other hand, he's keeping the distance, hasn't had any violations in, I don't know, 3, 4 years. But then his safety score is really bad over there. So we cannot let the AI decide that he's a bad driver. We have to take into consideration everything else that the driver did for the company.
That's a great example to bring to use for that. Thank you. You've been, you've set up your business, and one of the interesting questions that we asked, particularly founders who have gone through that journey, if you had a time machine and you could go back 12 months, what would you do differently?
Well, I would probably start working on software that will make safety automations, safety department more automated in a way that not just the safety, but the bridge between safety and recruiting, safety and fleet, the communication between departments. I feel that it can be much better than it is, not just in 1 or 2 companies, but I feel like that gap is needs to be filled. And I believe AI would be able to do that with the proper reporting. And it's not late. So many companies are just finding out and starting to utilize AI. But that would probably, I would start working on something. I did start working on safety and on corrective action training for truck drivers. So this is something that I'm actively working on right now, and I hope to have it by the end of 2026. This will cover the post-accident training, post-violation training, make sure the drivers are educated on how certain violations affect their company, their license, make informed decision when they decide to not follow the regulations or follow the regulations. So this is something I'm working on, and with AI, I believe it will be possible to make it much more interactive uh, for drivers and to keep their attention more on trainings. And I'm hoping to do that soon.
It's fascinating. I think that leads us into the next question quite nicely, which is our last question, and it's about AI. And on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is no confidence at all and 10 is total confidence, how confident are you, Anastasia, that AI will create a measurable value for your own business in the next 12 months, but then also in 5 years from now?
Uh, I think maybe 8, because I don't think we quite know how to utilize AI right now in tracking space. And companies are trying, and it's possible to enhance the current technology that is using AI, but it's challenging to implement new AI processes for other parts in the trucking industry and logistics that are not covered by technology. So I definitely think AI will make a great improvement to trucking industry and to logistics, but I want to see how would it make change to parts that are have no touch with technology.
Great. Anastasia, thank you so much for that. It's been a great conversation, lots of insights for our audience. If the people out there want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that on your website, socials?
They can reach me at LinkedIn or Instagram, or they can call the phone number. We will leave the phone number, and I can also give them my email, which is saferise.info@gmail.com, or phone number is 708-378-1605.
Fantastic. Well, we'll of course put those in links into the description of the podcast afterwards. So, Anastasia, thank you again. It's been great to have you on, and thanks everyone for joining today. And we'll see you in the next edition of the AI Ripple Effect. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.